this will be a continuation from our demo problem for 12. The other day, we did complete, or you didn't do the worksheet, I did the worksheet for you.
That's correct.
But we did the financial statements for it.
We did the
We
financial.
completed-
Now we got to do the third part.
The income statement,
Yes.
the statement of owner's equity,
Yes.
and the balance sheet. Okay, we did all of those.
Now the third part.
The rest of the instructions told us to record
I have no instructions.
the adjusting and the closing
Are you gonna give out the rest of the
entries.
What instructions?
Where do we get the information for recording the adjusting and the closing entries?
Off the worksheet.
From the worksheet. So let's record the A adjustment first.
Okay.
And when we're recording the adjusting entries, we do not need to write a description
Oh, we don't?
because we can write a heading. Okay, adjusting entries.
Oh man, I wrote descriptions.
All right, adjusting entries. We can do the same for the closing entries. So our first adjusting entry is coming from the worksheet,
Yes.
and it's going to be the A. It should be a debit to income summary
Wait, hold
and a credit to merchandise inventory. Now, is that to remove the beginning inventory or to put the ending inventory in?
to put the ending inventory.
To remove the beginning, the A.
Yes.
Okay?
Because you
And
gotta
what would
have
our
the
number, what would our number be there?
113. There you go.
Okay?
Because you have to put the ending inventory for the next month.
The ending inventory for this year will be the beginning inventory for the following year or the following month. Right, so that's the A. You could label that if you want to, that was the A adjustment. The B adjustment is the second adjusting entry, and you're just taking it from the worksheet. It would be a debit to merchandise inventory and a credit to what? Income summary.
Wait, I'm
And
still
how
on.
much is the B?
So, no description?
No description. 10,100. Now, if our worksheet is correct, okay,
Uh-huh.
we can assume that these are correct, can't we?
Yes.
We're just copying them from the worksheet, because on the worksheet, our accounts in the ledger are still not up to date. They're up to date on this piece of paper,
Yeah.
but they're not up to date until we record and post these. Okay, they're not up to date. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right, let's do the C. And I'm going back to the worksheet to look at the C, and we had a debit to unearned training fees and a credit to training fees earned.
Uh-huh.
What was the amount?
$270.
$270. All I'm doing is copying it from the worksheet. I'm not switching the order or anything. I'm
But
just
on the thing, it
copying
just says training fees earned, and you put unearned.
It should say unearned.
It says training fees earned. That's where on C on the debit,
That's
but
the
on
credit.
the credit.
That's the
oh,
credit.
Okay.
The debit is
All right.
unearned.
Yeah, I see now. Okay. And the debit goes first. Unearned. Training fees.
So that's A, B, C. Now we're looking at D, and D is going to be the depreciation expense equipment as our debit, and our credit was accumulated depreciation equipment, and the amount was how much?
Depreciation expense.
360. Okay.
depreciation, expense, equipment, 360. And E is, no. D.
And then our last one, A, B, C, D, E, we're just copying it from the worksheet.
Or you go fast. You go fast.
And
D.
skip a line in between those, but you do not need a description because we have a centered heading up there that says adjusting entries. Remember when we were in Peachtree and we did Atlas and Zell and we put all of the adjusting entries in one transaction?
Yes.
That's sort of what we're doing.
Insurance expense, 490.
Okay. Insurance was the 490, the E.
Then prepaid insurance was 490.
Now, our ledger accounts still are not current because we haven't posted
We haven't
this.
posted.
And I didn't give you a ledger. So
Great.
we're not posting this one.
No, 2 hours worth of posting.
Yeah. I think
God.
once we've mastered the posting,
Man, that, I mean,
except you'll have to post on the test.
what?
So, but you'll get some posting in Callahan, because you've got to post
Well, we
these
just
in
had
Callahan.
posted in the 12 before.
All right.
How long is the final again?
2 hours?
2 hours?
I think it's 5, the answer sheet was 5 pages.
Golly.
Not front and back, just front.
Oh, okay.
What are you gonna
What's the
do?
difference?
Send us a... Gosh.
Is a large portion of it like multiple choice or it's mostly?
No,
No.
there's only 10 multiple.
10
And
multiple
the
choice
rest
out of
is
5
posting?
pages.
Oh my god, I'm scared. It's gonna take up a lot of time.
Man, what a way to say have a great summer, huh?
Remember, if you want a progress report, what do you need to bring me?
But we need that, the
Self-addressed stamped envelope.
Self-addressed stamped envelope.
All right. Now we
She's
have
gonna say-
recorded the adjusting entries. Now let's do the closing entries. Because
Skip a
in
line?
Callahan, you have to do the closing entries. You can also use the other side of that journal page or the second journal. The adjusting entries can be on one page, the closing entries can be on another. They don't have to be right after each other. So what accounts are we going to close?
We need to close the ICE
We're
account.
closing the expenses. What
Revenue.
else are we closing?
No, have revenue, income statement, the ones that are involved on the income statement.
Yeah.
Let me make sure everything's on
So
here.
sales.
So sales, purchases, return discount, sales discounts, anything that's on the income statement. So that would be income summary, sales, sales returns and allowances, sales discounts, purchases, purchase returns and allowance, purchase discounts, and then training fees earned. Right? We list all of those and we
We're
go
going
to
to
income
list
summary.
all of those. We're going to list sales.
First it would be our income summary because that's going to be the
And I
debit.
would check them off on your income statement on the worksheet
Our
to
first
make
thing,
sure that you have them all.
our first entry would be, wait, we have to do them that way?
Sales. I don't care what order they go in. They can go in the same order that you have them listed on your worksheet. But it's the accounts that have a credit balance. Sales,
Purchase returns and allowance and purchase
purchases,
discount.
discount,
Sales. 95.5.
training fees earned, purchases, returns, and allowances. There should be 4 of them.
Purchase discounts and then training fees earned.
Now, we're not going to close income summary with this closing entry. We'll close it
To the capital.
with the other closing entry for income summary where we close it to capital. But we're closing everything else that has a credit balance. Did you put a check mark beside those accounts so that we're sure we're closing everything? And it's coming from the worksheet. Can you plug your numbers in?
Yes.
and then add them up to see what the credit to income summary should be. Why are we doing this?
So they have zero balances,
Good. And why do we want them to be zero balances?
so we could start over the fresh.
So we're ready for the next year.
Or the
they're
next month, or the
temporary
next period,
accounts.
whatever. They're ice, they melt away.
They're melting away. This is the melting process. Do what?
They're ice age 3.
Making a cut.
It's $1,112, $112,000
Okay, 112,890.
$890, and that goes to the income summary.
That's income summary. How many closing entries are there?
4.
4. All of the accounts that have a credit balance, we're closing them with a debit. The accounts that have a debit balance, we're closing them with a credit.
Credit. Then we do the.
So I want you to skip a line, and then I want you to write income summary,
And then expenses.
and I'm going to try not to give you the total.
We don't know the total yet.
We don't know the total yet.
That's correct.
Okay, so income summary will be our debit, let me see, for our second closing entry. And then let's list those accounts
That have the
that
debit.
have a debit balance. And you can just, I think mine are listed in order, aren't they? Sales returns and allowances, sales discount, purchases, freight in, and then the expenses. And then we have the 2 expenses down at the bottom below the total.
God, I wish that we would have had this chapter before.
Now, if you listed all of your accounts, if you had prepared this worksheet like you are in Callahan, you might have those zero balance accounts already listed.
Yes.
And that's fine. Either way is fine. This book, when we first were introduced to the worksheet, gave us the numbers that were a zero balance, that in the adjustments they now have a balance, they were below the totals. They were listed below the totals. But you can list them all. So plug your numbers in. These are all credits. Add them up and let's see if we can come up with what our amount needs to be for the income summary.
Is it okay if it's a different order a little bit?
It doesn't have to be in my order.
As long as we get the total, right?
I just went down the list, but you might have had everything listed on yours.
Oh, what am I doing, Doug? What you doing?
You talking?
Yeah, I know. I put everything on the debit.
Yeah, these are all credits.
I know. Because I'm balancing them out to 0. So I have to do the opposite of the normal balance. I wish I could think like that when I take the test. I get nervous. I just get so nervous. It's like white coat syndrome.
What?
My blood pressure's okay when I see the MA, but when the doctor comes in, my blood pressure goes up. Same thing.
Take some deep breaths during the test. Don't forget to breathe.
We know that she's just gonna be sitting there like, yeah, let's get him. I'll show him. I'll get him, my pretty. Not saying that you're a
Do we
bad
have
person.
a total now for the income summary?
No. Is it a big one?
It's all of those added up.
I got 107, 120. Oh yeah.
$107,120.
You got it right.
107, 120.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now I'm on the, now I can flip over and it fit on the sheet too. Perfect. Now closing. Oh wait, was I supposed to put a date? Yeah, right. When I have a question, when we do like here on our closing interest map, do we still put December over here, or do we, since we're putting it on the same sheet, I leave
It's
it alone?
December.
I know, but do I put that when it's?
No, you don't need to add
But
anything.
now when I come back over here, I do
Yes,
December.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies.
I wrote 13 besides, I wrote 12 besides 13.
Oh, yeah. And then I have to put closing entries again. That's just what I need, because this is where I'm at. What is this called? Callahan. I gotta catch up to Sylvia. How many years were you still sergeant? No? Why not? You wanna yell at him?
All right, we have 2 more closing entries. Our third one is going to be to close the income summary. And the income summary amount is going to be what number? Where does that number come from? Our net income. Now, we're closing income summary with a credit to capital. So was that a net income or a net loss? If I just gave you the transaction and asked you whether that problem or that company closed the year with a net income or net loss, what would this one tell you? A net income, because we're having a credit to capital.
And where would that come from?
That came from your worksheet.
Oh,
Net income.
yes.
And then what is the last closing entry that we have?
Close
To
off the
close
withdrawal.
the withdrawals. And we're going to close the withdrawals to the capital account, and that amount should be from your worksheet, $4,290. Our accounts still are not current because we have to post this. And when we do post it, then all of our temporary accounts will have a 0 balance. And what would be the last thing that we'd have to do after we post the adjusting and the closing entries? What do we need to still prepare?
The post-trial balance?
The post-closing
Trauma.
trial
Now,
balance.
I have a question.
And that should be only the accounts that we originally started with in chapter 1. And then we're ready to start all over again. Yes.
On our homework, we did a wages payable and a wages expense. Oh, we're not doing that on this.
We just didn't have one on here.
Because that one was reversing an entry.
That one.
That was a reversing entry?
And when you reverse the entry, it's the reverse of
What you
the
put in there.
adjusting entry. Yes.
Okay.
Let
So
me
that was
turn
it?
this off.
So this is exactly